at 8 a.m. at the New York District Court. Monica Carter stepped out of a black BMW, adjusted her suit, and entered the courthouse. Today was an important day. She would defend her client Angela Brown, a black woman who was wrongfully arrested for resisting arrest. This case was not simple. It had caught the attention of many human rights organizations, and Monica knew she had to win. As she entered the court, all eyes immediately turned toward her. Some whispered, while others looked at her with skepticism. The courthouse security officer, Officer Whitaker, a middle-aged white man with a stern face, approached and blocked her path. "Sorry, but you're not allowed to be here." Monica frowned. "I'm the defendant's lawyer. I'm here to defend my client." Whitaker squinted at her from head to toe, then let out a light laugh. "Really? I've never seen a lawyer like you." Monica immediately understood what he was implying. He couldn't believe that a black woman could be a prominent lawyer. "I have my law license right here. Would you like to check it?" Monica took out her documents, but Whitaker didn't even glance at them. "Doesn't matter. I don't think you should be here. You'd better leave before I have to take stronger measures." Monica narrowed her eyes. She knew he was deliberately abusing his power. But what he didn't know was that today would be the day he ruined his own career. When Monica refused to leave, Officer Whitaker immediately changed his attitude. "Fine, you want to be stubborn. Then I'll have to escort you out of here." He reached out, grabbing Monica's arm to pull her out of the courtroom. But immediately, Monica shook his hand off, her eyes sharp as a blade. "You're making a huge mistake." Whitaker sneered. "Oh really? I don't think so. I have full authority to remove someone without clearance from the courtroom." Monica looked him straight in the eye, then slowly took out her phone. "I'll show you whether I have authority or not." She dialed a number. The other and picked up quickly. "I need you to call Judge Foster immediately. Tell him I need to speak with him right now." Whitaker laughed mockingly. "Who do you think you can call? A friend? You really think one phone call will change anything?" Only 30 seconds later, Judge Foster's phone rang. Everyone in the courtroom turned to look at the judge as he picked up the phone with an annoyed expression. "Who's calling?" But as soon as he heard the voice on the other end, he turned pale and quickly stood up. Everyone in the room suddenly realized this wasn't a normal call. This was a call from the White House. The courtroom fell into complete silence. Judge Foster lifted the phone, about to speak condescendingly, but as soon as he heard the voice on the other end, his face immediately turned ashen. Everyone could clearly see the change in his expression. He no longer had the smug look, replaced by panic and tension. "Attorney General." "Yes. Yes, sir." I didn't know about this." The courtroom was immediately in chaos. Why was such a powerful judge so frightened? Some lawyers in the room began whispering to each other. A few members of the jury exchanged glances with Monica, realizing she wasn't just any ordinary person. Meanwhile, Officer Whitaker stood there with his arms crossed, still unaware of the seriousness of the situation. But seconds later, a senior officer entered the courtroom and whispered something into his ear. Whitaker raised an eyebrow, but his face turned pale as he listened to what was being said. Who is she?" "Mon." ICA stood still, arms crossed, her eyes filled with authority. She didn't need to say anything more, everything was unfolding exactly as she had predicted. After a few minutes on the phone with the White House, Judge Foster hung up, his hand shaking. "I have an important announcement." He swallowed hard, then looked directly at Monica with an entirely different expression than before. "Attorney Carter, I apologize for the misunderstanding. You are absolutely authorized to be here. You may continue to defend your client." Officer Whitaker gaped, his eyes wide. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. Some people in the room began to clap lightly, realizing that Monica had just turned the situation around in an extraordinary way. But the story wasn't over. Monica didn't just want to stay in court, she wanted those who had wronged her to pay. As soon as the judge announced that Monica could continue her work, she didn't move. Instead, she turned to Officer Whitaker, her gaze sharp as a knife. "I have a question for you, Officer Whitaker." Whitaker was still in shock, but he tried to regain his composure. What do you want to ask?" Monica took a step forward, her voice growing sharper. "You blocked my path when I entered here, even though I had all the legal documents. You tried to drag me out of the courtroom in front of everyone. If I didn't have a call from the White House, would you have handcuffed me and taken me out of here?" Whitaker didn't respond immediately. The entire courtroom stared at him, waiting for an answer. After a moment of silence, Monica sneered. "No need to answer. We all know what the answer is." She turned to Judge Foster. "I request an official investigation into the abuse of power by this officer." The courtroom erupted with whispers. Some people started nodding in agreement, they all saw clearly that Whitaker's actions were wrong. Judge Foster couldn't oppose this. He knew that if he rejected the request, the story would spread to the White House and he could lose his position. Finally, he nodded. "Your request will be immediately considered." Officer Whitaker turned pale. He stepped back, realizing that the consequences were coming fast. Within 15 minutes, an internal investigation team was called to review Whitaker's actions. He was suspended on the spot and escorted out of the courthouse in disgrace. Monica just smiled lightly and stepped back to her defense podium. She hadn't just won, she had taught everyone a lesson about true power. After turning the situation around, Monica stepped forward and defended her client, Angela Brown, who had been wrongfully arrested. With sharp arguments and clear evidence, Monica demolished all the unfounded accusations from the prosecutor. Within an hour, the case was won, and Angela was released right there in the courtroom. As the case concluded, everyone in the courtroom stood and applauded. Monica had not only defended an innocent woman, she had proven that justice was not a game for the powerful. A journalist present at the trial quickly posted, "Lawyer blocked from court, White House intervenes immediately. Is the justice system changing?" Monica's story quickly spread on social media, becoming a symbol of justice and real power. She didn't need to shout to prove anything, she let the truth speak for itself. The atmosphere in the courtroom completely shifted. As Officer Whitaker was escorted out of the room, all eyes turned toward Monica Carter, the woman who had just defeated an unjust system with nothing but a phone call. Prosecutor Robert Myers, a middle-aged man with graying hair and a sharp gaze, stood up from his bench. He was not pleased to see the situation turn in Monica's favor. "Your Honor, I motion to proceed with the case. Remember, we are here to try the defendant, Angela Brown, not to resolve personal issues with Attorney Carter." Monica smiled lightly. She knew Myers was trying to redirect attention to overshadow what had just transpired. "I fully agree. Let's let the truth speak for itself." She turned to her client, Angela Brown, a woman in her 30s who was accused of assaulting a police officer despite doing nothing wrong. Angela trembled, but her eyes lit up with a glimmer of hope as she saw Monica fully in control of the situation. "I didn't do anything. I was just on my way home." Monica placed a hand on her shoulder, reassuring her with a powerful voice. "Don't worry. I'll prove that." The real legal battle had begun. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is very simple. Officer Michael Reynolds reported that the defendant, Angela Brown, resisted arrest when he asked to check her identification. Officer Reynolds, a tall man with a stern face, sat on the witness stand. He had prepared himself well to lie. Monica stood, walked toward Reynolds with a sharp gaze. "Officer Reynolds, can you clarify what happened that night?" Reynolds cleared his throat, trying to appear confident. I saw the defendant acting suspiciously, so I asked her to stop for a check. She immediately became hostile and tried to grab my gun. The jury started to murmur. Some people turned to look at Angela, who was crying out of frustration. But Monica remained unfazed. She had evidence that could destroy this entire testimony. You said Angela Brown tried to grab your gun. Monica walked to her desk, opened her briefcase, and pulled out a small USB drive. Then why does the surveillance footage show the opposite? The courtroom fell silent in shock. Judge Foster raised an eyebrow. Do you have video evidence? Monica smiled, plugging the USB into the courtroom's computer. The large screen in the courtroom lit up, showing a video from a street camera the night Angela was arrested. Clear evidence. Angela Brown was walking on the sidewalk alone, with no suspicious behavior. Officer Reynolds approached her from behind, blocking her path without a legitimate reason. Angela raised her hands, showing no signs of aggression. Reynolds violently shoved her into a wall before handcuffing her. The courtroom erupted in angry murmurs. Would you like to revise your testimony? Reynolds was sweating, his eyes darting around as if looking for an escape. Prosecutor Myers jumped to his feet. I object. We cannot confirm the authenticity of this video. Monica smirked, pressing a button on the computer. Image appears, a legal technician from the FBI appeared on the video call screen. We've verified this footage. It's authentic. Prosecutor Myers turned pale, while Judge Foster helplessly banged his gavel. Defendant Angela Brown is acquitted. Monica had completely turned the case around. Angela's family rushed to embrace her, crying with joy. Reporters immediately captured this historic moment. Officer Reynolds was arrested on the spot for perjury and assaulting a citizen. Prosecutor Myers was reprimanded for supporting a wrongful case. As for Monica, she stood there, calm and composed, watching everything unfold just as she had predicted. A reporter approached her and asked, "Do you feel like you've made a big change today?" Monica looked directly into the camera lens and said something that would make the whole country reflect. Justice doesn't need sympathy. It needs the truth. And today, the truth prevailed. This story would be told forever. The next day, the case of Monica Carter and Angela Brown dominated all American media. This story was no longer just a single trial, it had become a symbol of the fight against injustice. On social media, hashtags began to spread widely. Hashtag Justice for Angela. Hashtag Monica Carter. Hashtag Stop Police Brutality. Hashtag Truth Prevails. Within 24 hours, more than 10 million posts had appeared on Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Human rights activists, politicians, and citizens from across the country were calling for a federal investigation into police misconduct. CNN reports. Attorney Monica Carter defeats the unjust system in court, police arrested on the spot. BBC analysis. Is the American justice system truly fair? Meanwhile, Monica Carter received a call from the White House. Monica, the president wants to meet with you. Monica paused for a moment, but she knew this day would come sooner or later. She had just shaken an entire system. And now, it was time to face the most powerful people in America. 3 days after the trial, Monica Carter walked into the Oval Office at the White House. The President, the Attorney General, and the FBI Director were all present. They all knew this meeting was not just a social formality, it was a call for change. The President stood up and shook Monica's hand. Monica, I've been following your case. You didn't just help Angela Brown, you've changed an entire national debate. Monica remained composed, but her gaze was sharp. I don't care about reputation or debate. I care about justice. The Attorney General spoke up. And that's why we want you to join a judicial reform oversight committee. You've shown that the system has serious flaws. We need your help to fix it. Monica thought for a moment. This was an opportunity not just to win a case, but to change the entire system. She looked straight at the president and said, "I agree. But I have one condition." The room fell silent. The president raised an eyebrow. "Go ahead." Monica took a deep breath, then spoke slowly but firmly. "I want a federal investigation into every case where police have abused their power in the last 5 years. I want every officer who has abused their authority brought to light." The Attorney General furrowed his brow. This was a big request, but it was entirely reasonable. The president looked around the room, then nodded. "You've got it. The FBI will open a nationwide investigation." Monica had not only won a case, she had made the US government take action. A month after the White House meeting, the FBI announced the largest investigation in US history into police misconduct. CNN reports. FBI opens federal investigation into abuse of power, who will be prosecuted? New York Times analysis. From a small case, Monica Carter changed an entire legal system. How did she do it? Monica Carter became a symbol of justice, invited to international conferences, civil rights forums, and judicial reform discussions. At a major justice conference, Monica Carter stepped up to the podium and said something that made all of America pause. "Justice is not a privilege, it is a basic right. And if we don't fight to protect it, we will lose it." That day, the entire audience stood up and applauded. Hashtag Justice for All. Hashtag Monica Carter. Hashtag Truth Prevails. She didn't just win a trial. She changed history. Justice is enforced.